I would like to introduce to you Lama Somananda Tantrapa, who is the creator of Qigong coaching and the lineage holder of Tibetan shamanic Qigong, also known as Qidao. He has over 40 years of experience in practicing and teaching Aikido, Tai Chi, Qigong, Tantra, and other healing and martial arts. Lama, would you tell us more about your background?
Thank you. It's been wonderful to talk to you about it and pleasure to share whatever I have to share. So my background is very diverse. I was born and raised in the former Soviet Union, in Ukraine, to be precise, pretty much where the war is happening right now. And about 30 years ago, I got ordained as a Tibetan Lama in the shamanic tradition of Bon. And then 5 years later, I received religious asylum in the United States because of experiencing persecution back in the homeland. Since then, I've been working with people from all over the world, empowering them to experience self-realization and spiritual awakening through my art of being in the flow, which also happened to be the title of my first book. And in 2000, I founded the Academy of Qidao, that became the first and only school offering professional certification and training in Qigong coaching, the profession I pioneered by integrating the ancient energy arts of Qigong and Dream Yoga with the modern modalities of health and life coaching. And you may also have heard me hosting for over a decade my award-winning talk show, The Secrets of Qigong Masters. I also served as a publisher of Mastery Magazine, organizer of numerous summits of Qigong masters and the World Tai Chi and Qigong summits. And I'm also working on creating Energy Arts TV channel dedicated to featuring Qigong teachers and experts interested in collaboration and achieving greater success together. So that's basically what I do.
Okay. I know you have been teaching Qidao, Tibetan shamanic Qigong all over the world, and this year in September you're coming to Denmark. Would you like to tell us a little more about this Qigong workshop that is coming up here in Denmark in September?
With pleasure. Yeah, I've been traveling to Denmark last year quite a few times, and also this year for a simple reason. My parents became refugees from Ukraine and ended up moving to Denmark. And so I traveled to visit them, help them out, and also to share what I have to share with people of Denmark and other European countries. So in September, I'm going to be coming to Copenhagen with another workshop called Qigong for Mind-Body Realignment. We'll be exploring exactly that, how to realign our minds and body in such ways that we experience less tension, less undue stress, and experience greater sense of flow of energy and the flow of life, so that we can enjoy our lives more fully.
Okay. What does this workshop facilitate in terms of mental health?
Oh, good question. Well, obviously, mind-body realignment can be very healthy in terms of mental health, because when the mind and body are not in alignment, which is unfortunately how most people experience them in their lives, they are struggling against each other. Some people put it this way, that their mind and their heart are not on the same page. Mm-hmm. Some people just simply experience some degree of internal conflict or sabotage. Most people don't experience much of alignment in this regard for various reasons. We will dive into them during this workshop. But the fact of the matter is that most of us experience some undue stress, anxieties, worry, concerns. Who doesn't have those? Well, during this workshop, we'll be learning how to make them much less prominent. I don't want to say we will eradicate them completely, but we will make them much less. In other words, if we have stress, we learn how to manage it much more effectively. If we have any worries or concerns about the future, we make sure that they don't turn into anxiety attacks. We learn how to also mitigate any sadness or depression or anger or resentment about the past so that they don't ruin our present life. And in a sense, we create a state of equanimity. We learn how to experience neither attachment to things nor aversions from things. We develop a sense of neutral balance. And this dynamic balance is something similar to surfing or even skateboarding. You're seemingly standing with your feet not moving much, but because the board is moving underneath your feet, you have to constantly realign yourself so that you maintain some semblance of dynamic balance. That's something that we're learning how to do both in our physical bodies and also in our minds, because the minds and bodies are not two separate things. They're actually two sides of the same coin, as you said, that basically two aspects of one and the same living organism.
I will definitely like to learn much more about that equanimity between body and mind. Then I would like to ask what physical problems these mind and body practices can address.
Well, as you can imagine, people who suffer from stress or anxiety or depression or other things are not in the aligned, neutral physical state. They often have undue tensions in their bodies. For example, if you're anxious, you're most likely going to be holding yourself in a way associated with a state of fear, or some degree of anxiety about what is going to happen. If, for example, you are sad about the past or have depression, well, you're probably holding yourself differently. For example, if you're angry about something, well, you're probably going to hold yourself differently again. All these holding patterns of tension have associations with specific emotional states. And when we achieve this state of equanimity, where we are neither depressed, nor anxious, nor angry, nor freaked out, we basically experience this state of neutrality, both mentally and physically. In physical body, we call it state of equipoise. Equipoise is the neutral or natural state in which you're not struggling against gravity. You're simply relying on your bone structure of your skeleton to support you. And bones do their job effortlessly. They don't burn energy, they don't get tired, they don't get sore, unlike the muscles that do burn energy and then they get tired after working over time, and then they get sore and stiff and create energy blockages. And anyone familiar with Oriental medicine would agree that energy blockages are one of the main causes of ill health. So we essentially address the root causes of ill health so that we can experience greater vitality and well-being.
Yes, that sounds really great. Yes, more relaxation, more relaxed in the entire body and mind.
Yes, you have to be relaxed in both. You cannot be relaxed in your body, but anxious in your mind. You cannot be the other way. You cannot be relaxed mentally, but exhibit some undue tension in your physical body. They go hand in hand. Most people just pay attention to either one side of this proverbial coin or the other, the heads or the tails. What we're going to be learning in our workshop is how to pay attention to the gold that this coin is made of. What is it that keeping the heads and tails together? In other words, what is it that keeps the mind and body together in one living organism? That's life force. That's why the art of Qigong, Qidao in particular, is so essential for addressing both the mind and the body to bring them into greater alignment.
Okay. Then I would like to ask a little about the importance of testing and applying in own embodied knowledge. If we could resolve problems or tension by just being aware of them, many people would probably have resolved the tension now. So how can we use our body for relieving tension, unconscious tension, because we are holding tension and can't let it go? So how can we use the body in Qigong for releasing tension?
Well, this is actually a very profound question. The purpose of testing and development of an embodiment of what we aspire to achieve is something that requires personal experience, experimentation, exploration, if you will. It's not enough to just learn a form or two. It's not enough to just figure out how to do certain energy clearing protocol. It's not enough to just do some meditation and hope that it's going to hold. It may have some positive effect. Yes, you can meditate and it may actually have some effect for a few minutes or maybe even a few hours after you do it, if you do it right. Unfortunately, for most people, doing meditation is not as easy as like this. Getting to a meditative state of consciousness is often a struggle for many meditation practitioners. So when they sit and meditate for an hour, they often spend most of their time actually trying to get into meditative state. Similarly, with physical practices, it's important to recognize that they're not all born equal. There are some practices that are perfectly suited to address what you need to attend to, but there are plenty of practices, movements, poses, or other physical actions that are not going to be particularly helpful or may even be detrimental or not helping you achieve what you're trying to achieve. So basically what we want to do is we want to become really clear on what works and what doesn't work. And the way to achieve that is through personal experience. Well, how do we get that personal experience? We do testing. We do experimentation, and that creates first-hand knowledge. Only first-hand knowledge leads to self-mastery. Second-hand knowledge doesn't lead to self-mastery. You can take all kinds of workshops and seminars and classes and study with all kinds of masters if they're just downloading information into your brain, but it's their knowledge. It's not your authentic knowledge. This is secondhand knowledge. This is secondhand experience, the hearsay, as they say. So basically, it's not going to lead to self-mastery. You just become a repository of information. You just collect data. We learn how to embody this information, how to digest it so that it becomes our own wisdom. And then we learn to apply it on a regular basis. That's another major challenge. Some people who study such arts as Qigong or Tai Chi or yoga or other disciplines can be very skilled. But when you look at them or at their lives, they're not really walking the talk. In other words, their lives are falling apart or they are falling apart, physically, emotionally, or energetically, or otherwise. Why is that? Well, basically because they haven't figured out how to integrate the practice in their daily lives seamlessly. That there is no separation between practicing and living. Well, that's exactly what I say when I introduce our workshops and other events. I say, look, I'm not just going to teach you another Qigong style. I'm going to teach you how to create your own authentic Qigong lifestyle, informed by the principles of energy arts, not by the forms that you're going to be repeating day in and day out and thinking you're doing something right.
because we are different from each other and we have each of our own ways, so we have to test to see what really works for us.
Yes. There are different strokes for different folks, as they say.
Yes. No.
And also, even for the same person, what worked yesterday may not work the same way tomorrow.
No, that's true.
Because we go through change.
Yeah.
Why people come to study with me? They want to change. Well, change is going to happen.
Yes.
As you're changing, what worked yesterday is not going to work the same way tomorrow.
No.
So you have to continue testing, continue experimenting to maintain authenticity in your practice. Authenticity, unfortunately, is not high priority value in Chinese culture. That's the reason why most people who study Qigong mostly study Chinese styles of Qigong. And if authenticity is not high priority value in Chinese culture, they're not encouraged to be authentic in their practices. They're not encouraged to experiment and test or ask questions and find answers because that's not considered important. If it's not important, people are not going to be pursuing authenticity. And without it, they are going to continue relying on the secondhand knowledge. And that's exactly why there are so many people who practice these arts, but not many people become masters. Masters are the renegades. They are the mavericks of our field. Basically, masters are known for creating new school or new form or new style. Why did they have to create a new form or a new style? Was the old one not good? I bet when they were students studying with their teachers or their masters were telling them, well, you do this thing just the way I tell you, and you're golden. You're going to be considered a good student. I will be continuing teaching you and giving you some more advanced techniques. But at some point, that person who eventually became a master actually did exactly what they're not supposed to do. Instead of doing just what the teacher told them, they did experiment and discover that something worked better than whatever they learned from the teacher. Otherwise, they wouldn't create their own form or style. In most styles, it's not encouraged. Nobody teaches how to become a master. Well, that's exactly what I teach in practice. How to develop the attitude of mastery, how to actually pursue mastery from the first step you take on this path.
And it doesn't need only to be in Qigong. It can be in singing, it can be in movement, it can be in sports, it can be in many other things. And I know that you pioneered Qigong coaching, and I would like to hear a little more about Qigong coaching, what it makes it such a great approach to this mind-body realignment that really create harmony in the body.
Well, Qigong coaching is the profession that I pioneered almost 20 years ago. And the reason why it's such a great methodology for transforming different aspects of life, not just your Qigong practice, is because, as I mentioned, it teaches you how to integrate Qigong with daily life so that it would influence the way you walk, the way you talk or sing, the way you move, or the way you do any kind of sports. If you dance, you will be a better dancer. If you're an athlete, you will do better at your sports. If you're a martial artist, you will double the power of your punches and kicks and be better at rolling with punches when push comes to shove. You will learn how to integrate the principles rather than just learning forms. You see, most people, when they think of Qigong, they think of doing forms. That's how 99% of Qigong practitioners practice this energy art. Unfortunately, that is not the problem of the student. That's the problem of the teachers. You know, average teachers are the ones who just focus on forms and techniques because they don't know any better. That's all they know. And so they just share what they know. And if the student does what the teacher does, then the teacher thinks that he's doing a good job. So unfortunately, as I mentioned, that actually doesn't facilitate mastery. So there are a lot of mediocre students because they receive mediocre training. Now, I don't want to say that all Qigong teachers are mediocre, because there are some better teachers than others. And obviously, those are not only focusing on techniques or forms, also introduce strategies, or if they are actual masters, maybe they even created a new form or new method that they share with their students. So instead of just focusing on tactics, they focus on strategies, which is kind of like a bigger picture approach. Well, Qigong coaching takes the step further beyond that. It actually helps the students to discover the principles underlying all those forms and strategies. What makes it more effective than Qigong strategies and systems? When a Qigong master creates his or her school or style, they capitalize on their own unique strengths. And they have a strategic advantage that they integrate into their system. But different people have different strategic advantages, or they have different resources and capabilities. In other words, for those people who are just like that master, this is going to work great. But how many of the students are going to be just like their master? Because what we're talking about, we're all different and unique. And so that's exactly why focusing on the underlying principles is a higher level of expertise and ability to transmit wisdom than average teaching and even advanced teaching. Basically, if we're talking about receiving training from a master and learning how to become like him, well, this is like receiving a teaching from the grandmaster. No better than the master, because he trained the masters to become masters. That's the definition of grandmaster. That's basically what we're doing.
It reminds me, when you speak of Qigong coaching, it reminds me of some of the principles of teaching of dream yoga. How to become lucid and actually be able to relax. And I really like that connection, because the ability to relax, to really put quality in relaxation, when is some of my high value, that when I can relax, I really want both my mind and body to relax together, so it's a quality time. So absolutely. Yeah, so I really like that aspect in Qigong coaching.
I like it too.
Then I would like to ask a little, unless you have more you would add to this workshop in Denmark in September, then I would like to ask of some of the practical, like date and time and place in Denmark for this workshop.
Absolutely. The date and time of these workshops are going to be September 8th, 9th, and 10th. Friday, September 8th, is going to be the beginning day of the workshop, and we'll start at 5 p.m. Central European time, simply because some people work during the day. So we'll start in the evening to get folks who may be working during the day to still be able to attend. And then we will continue on Saturday, September 9th and Sunday, September 10th from 10 o'clock in the morning till about 5 o'clock in the evening. And in terms of the location, I think you will do better than me if you tell the folks the name of the place and the address of it, because my Danish pronunciation is terrible.
Yes, it's called The Åbne Rum in Copenhagen, and it's in Østbanegade 13.
Just rolls off your tongue, doesn't
it? Østbanegade 13 in Copenhagen, yes.
So the open room, right?
The Åbne Rum, yeah, the open space.
Open space.
The open space.
So that's pretty centrally located in the capital of Denmark, Copenhagen.
Yes.
The folks who live in the city, of course, will have no problem getting to it. But we also often have students coming from other parts of Europe to attend our workshops. So they should have no problem making their way to Copenhagen from Germany or Sweden, Norway, or other European countries, which I definitely encourage everyone who listens to this interview to do. If you can, please make your way to Copenhagen, Denmark on September 8th, 9th, and 10th. It will transform your life for the better.
Yes.
You will learn the principles of body awareness, of energy awareness, so that you develop gracefulness and power in your physical body, also in the greater mental capabilities, and integrate the mind and body in such a way that they work together in harmony. When you integrate your body, mind, and spirit, you can enjoy vibrant wellness and well-being in your daily life. Who wouldn't want that?
I definitely would love to.
As you mentioned, Anna, there's a component that is rather unique to our workshop. I will also introduce just a few principles of dream yoga. I'm one of the well-known teachers of this art. And one of the things that you mentioned is that spiritual awakening is what dream yoga is about. We learn how to awaken in our dreams. And most people, of course, when they hear about dreams, they think about night dreams. Well, when you awaken in the night dream, that's what we call becoming lucid. When you wake up in the dream rather than waking up from the dream, you become aware of the fact that you're dreaming everything. And that's the perfect opportunity to also remind yourself that everything is energy in a dream. What else can it be? It's all energy of consciousness, whatever you experience or encounter in your dreams. Your dream body is also pure energy. It gives you an opportunity to practice energy arts in the most pure fashion. If everything is energy, you have no excuse to not pay attention to energy. And that's exactly what we do. We learn how to develop energy awareness, and then we translate it into our daily lives so that our daily lives also can be informed and empowered by this type of energy awareness that we develop in our dreams. And just to give you one simple glimpse of dream yoga, one of the key principles is that dreams are not only what happens to us in our sleep at night. Those are night dreams. We also have daydreams. As a matter of fact, pretty much any thought, any memory, any idea about past or future are essentially daydreams. So we learn how to become as lucid in the daydreams as we can be in the dreams at night. And it's actually easier to become lucid in your daydreams because you're not asleep. So that is the golden key unlocking the doors to both energy awareness and spiritual awakening.
Thank you very much, Lama. I really look forward to this workshop in September. It's a really, really fine and beautiful opportunity to learn and dive into Tibetan shamanic Qigong. So,
and you yourself have been exploring it for some time. Maybe before we wrap up our interview, you don't mind me asking you, kind of turning the table on the interview.
Yes, you're welcome.
To share a few words about your experience with Qidao.
Yes. Yes, I have been working with Qidao, and I actually combine it with my knowledge of sensory integration. And this has actually helped me to understand what is happening with the body, because Qigong and specific in Qidao work, as I will put it, really wisely with movement, the movement of body that is unlocking resources that I didn't know I had, and also put more graceful experiences, both in my movement, but also in emotions, more graceful experiences in my life in general. So this has been a really beautiful exploration, working with Tibetan shamanic Qigong. And also because, for example, in sense integration, we work with gravity, movement, and touch. And for example, movement that is also called kinesthesia has in depth the natural body regulation. And I think Qidao work in a really profound and knowledgeable way how to really combine wellness and well-being within with these three primary senses, but especially the kinesthesia that create this profound healing from within. And I think that it needs to be explored. I must say.
I agree. And I also recognize how valuable it is that you are combining your expertise in sensory integration with my Qidao teachings, so much so that I invited you and you graciously agreed to help me present a part of this workshop. So the folks who are going to participate in our event in Copenhagen in September will be able to learn not only from me how to use energy awareness and awareness of our dreams, but also they will be able to learn from you, Aina, how to integrate sensory awareness into it. So that basically is the full gamut, the full spectrum experience. I think this is invaluable, and anyone who participates will walk away transformed completely. Thank you so much for taking your time to explore this today. I appreciate the great questions and also your sharing what you had to share.
Well, thank you, Nama.